Hello, this is John Runyon, Executive Director, East Brunswick Regional Chamber of Commerce, and this is Business Bylines. I'm glad you joined us again this month. Today we're going to have a real estate update, if you will. Joining me are J.P. Okun, owner of Investors and Lenders, mortgage bankers in East Brunswick, and also Charlotte Cohen, who's the owner of Renaissance Realty and a member of the Executive Board of the East Brunswick Regional Chamber of Commerce as well. Welcome to my show, gang.
Thank you.
We live here in what's been called the Sun Belt of the East. Had tremendous amount of growth over these last several years, which have precipitated some political changes, I think. In addition to that, traditionally, you know, the home is a resident's major investment for his life. Real estate has been touted as the greatest investment opportunity. All the great wealth in the United States of America is in real estate or made through real estate. All of us are told if we buy some real estate, it'll help us with our taxes. It's a hedge on inflation. It's all sorts of good things. But the growth is the thing I think we're going to start with this morning. Is this growth going to continue? This tremendous real estate growth, the tremendous development of the land, Jay? You think it's going to continue?
Yes, I think it will in the New York metropolitan area. I think that the political powers of most of the bedroom communities, including East Brunswick, are trying to slow it down. I think to some degree they will slow it down, but I think it's just a slowing down for a few years. There's no way they can keep it from continue to grow. I look at New York City becoming or being a major city of the world, and there's only a few of them in the whole world. Mm-hmm. You might say London, and you might say Paris, and you probably could say Tokyo. But New York has some extras, and I think that we're going to continue to see growth and continue to be better than any other place in the country.
What's going to continue to force that? Are folks going to continue to move to the New York metropolitan area? Major corporations are still going to be building new corporate headquarters and creating the jobs. They're going to be moving out of the city. It's going to continue to be that kind of a magnet? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting that major companies that are international have to have a New York presence. Mm-hmm. They have to, for the advertising, for the access to the banking, Wall Street, that the communication center of the world, that all the experts that a major international company needs happens to be located in New York City, and they attract talent from all over the world, not just from the United States.
So the region's going to continue to grow, and there isn't much that can hold that back. Is that true in East Brunswick, Charlotte? Do you think East Brunswick is going to continue to grow significantly?
I think so, and in a positive way. I think that its positioning in terms of the state, its transportation, its accessibility, whether we like it or not, has placed it in the heart of New Jersey, and therefore in the heart of the Bosch-Wash corridor. And you can't be any better situated. We are still within 35 miles of New York City, and we have a decent commutation system. It's all here. There's no reason. All we have to do is kind of harness that which we have to preserve what we want, and it's an excellent location.
It's funny you mentioned the word heart. The slogan or the theme or of East Brunswick is the heart of Middlesex County.
And so it
You're
is.
Right. We are the heart. We are very much the heart. Well, that's I suppose, from the investors' and developers' point of view, that's good news. But is real estate still the good investment? Just switching gears a little bit. We're going to continue to grow. Is it still a good investment, Jay? Is it still a good investment for the average guy?
It's a little different investment than before. I think that we hit the lottery over the last 4 or 5 years. Anybody that bought any piece of property saw it double in 4 years, and I mean that is historically just couldn't keep up, and we never had that before. I think that you're going to have an expertise, and you're going to have to watch your investments now. You're going to have to work at it. The small person, I still think real estate is the best for him if he's handy and he can buy a small piece of property, maybe fix it up, can rent it himself, watch his tenant. I don't think there's anything better that the average person can do, salaried person, buying another house and for long haul. Now we're talking short haul. I think the bloom might be off the roses. But if somebody buying a piece of property for retirement, for to cash in, to educate their kids, to get money, I think it's the best investment I can see on the horizon.
Being a broker in the local market, Charlotte, are there good investments in East Brunswick in this market?
Absolutely, and I agree with Jay. I think the key to an investment is education, and that you need to know your area and feel comfortable. And it's interesting to note that after the stock market situation of a year plus ago, sales actually picked up. And the reason for that is that real estate is something you can look at and feel and touch, and it makes sense, but you do have to be educated. If you're from this area and you want to get involved, this would be the area to start, something that you feel comfortable with and know.
It's interesting that you say that real estate sales picked up. Was that in all markets, commercial and residential?
Well, residential. Absolutely. It was a bit of a flurry and very noticeable in what was otherwise considered a very soft market. And I think those people who were sitting on a fence trying to decide whether or not this very important decision of theirs was a good one after the situation on Wall Street, they did make their jump. And they jumped in at what was a very opportune time for them as buyers. So the opportunities are there. You need to educate yourself.
In terms of, maybe we ought to talk a little bit about what's a good investment. Let's talk first about a homeowner. I remember I bought a home in East Brunswick in 1977. I paid $53,000 for it. I sold it just 5 years later and sold it for $86,000. And that same house sold in 1988 again for $220,000. And a 10-year period, it was over 400% appreciation in that particular house. I think that maybe that area was even a little ahead. Is that, for the residential homeowner, is that kind of good investment still a possibility? Jay said before maybe the rose is off the, the bloom is off the rose or whatever. It's never going to be that great again, or not for the near future. Is it going to happen, continue to happen?
Not at that level at the current cycle. And I think that opportunities like that are available to a wise investor who knows their marketplace. I think what happened is that certain communities were undervalued generally in terms of real estate, and that they came into their own being at a time that just coincided with the market at that particular time. There are situations where an investor can get a very rapid return on their investment, but not. It's a different marketplace. You have to know what you're doing.
They were talking about the appreciation and the value of the property giving us some return on investment. Jay, we all watch these shows on TV. Every night, some night I get home at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's some guy named Lowry or somebody else telling me how I can go out and buy property for no money down, make myself a millionaire in 5 years, and they're always interviewing some guy in a boat in Palm Beach or something who did that very thing. Are there bargains out there that people can get with minimal amounts of cash that would have a positive cash flow or provide leverage opportunities for somebody who wants to invest?
Very, very few in a town like East Brunswick. In fact, in the whole metropolitan New York area. If you have some expertise and you can fix up and renovate, yes, there's bargains around and you can turn. I'm looking more towards that for the next decade, that real estate will keep up with inflation, and that the government says they'd be very happy to keep it to 4%, which means that in about a 15-year period compounded, you would double. And somebody should be satisfied with it. If we get some more, fine. A lot of people are looking at real estate now, especially the Japanese, as a hedge like they used to look at gold. And so they're looking at it not at the return it will give them, but that it's a solid base that they'll have something to spend, where that dollar is depreciating. We know how far the dollar has gone down, so even from that point of view, you have to have some real estate in your portfolio to keep yourself as a hedge, as they used to buy gold. Gold has not done too well in the last couple of years.
That's very interesting. Where, if I'm shopping for a bargain, you say not necessarily in the metropolitan area, where do I have to go to find those bargains, those opportunities where I can buy and leverage and into other things or get a positive cash flow? Or
Right.
how far away do I have to go to find those kinds of things?
Well, you could go into a city like Newark, where some places is very spotty. There are places that are being rebuilt, and there are fortunes to be made, but there, and again, you have to be an expert. South Jersey has not had the rise that North Jersey has. The rise has mostly been in a 50-mile radius of Manhattan. So once you go outside of that ring, there are deals to be done, whether it be land or commercial buildings or residential. But the real ones that they're talking about with the Lowry type of people would be a Houston, a Dallas, and that's a dangerous market, especially if you're not from it. And I'm a great believer to pay more for a house that's within inside of a couple blocks of you if you're looking for investment than something way far away, because in your energy to run the place and you knowing the plumber, knowing if you get any problems, electrician, doing some of the work yourself, you will more than take care of the difference in price if you paid a little bit more or paid a little extra and the property is close to you where you can watch it, where you can rent it, where you can go see it.
Charlotte, if I was a homeowner in East Brunswick, professional, and had some cash to invest, do you think buying a condo or one of the condo conversions in the community could be a good investment for me in the long haul?
In the long
As
haul,
for a rental unit, hoping on the appreciation and renting it out in the interim?
for the long haul, possibly, but not for the short-term investor. There are, again, in keeping with what Jay said, you have to know your area, and if you were to buy a condo as an investment and not know that there are 400 slated to be built, competitively with yours, it could be a disaster. You really do need to know your marketplace, whether you're buying a condo or a castle. You have to know where the opportunities are in terms of what you know about that region.
That, excuse me, the response in great part says that a lot of the value of investment sometimes is tied to the pace of the growth, how much is growing, whether the market's saturated and all that sort of good stuff. I'm just wondering, in terms of East Brunswick, we've gone through, we touched on this before, great period of growth. In terms of the number of units built. It's not nearly the same as it was from about 65 to 72 when the township's population went from about 18,000 to 36,000, doubled. But we've gone through a really significant period of growth. Has that been slowed, or actions being taken to slow that? And Jay had mentioned some things maybe going on locally. What is happening locally that is going to affect growth? Charlotte, you want to comment? Or?
Well, the master plan, I think, is very much in our future as to how we can harness and govern those lands that we have left available. And that is obviously in the works in terms of East Brunswick. There are many factors determining. There are two schools of thought. For those people who were able to come here during the first or second wave of development, the general public that is able to find this area affordable and have come from New York. Now everyone wants development stopped, but there is a master plan, and you do have to become acquainted with it and try and use those lands that we have available to the general good of the community, and that's what's left.
You have anything on that, Jim?
Yeah, I think that this last election, the winning party, the Republicans, by and large, were running on less growth, and they pointed to some symbols such as the tower. I happen to be for the tower up, and I think we're lucky to have such a tax rateable and such a landmark in the town. But they're talking now about taking on the other side of the highway, which is not of the turnpike, which is not developed, about 25% of the town, and making it 6 acres, I understand, to the house.
6 acres, yeah.
Zoning, which is now 2 zoning. And I think the philosophy, when people want to go slow, it means that the boards are not going to be rushing to go through and to here, and they're not going to make too many waivers of the restrictions. And my experience with that type of thing does work. If you want to get a permit, it's easy to stretch it out from 3 months to a year, or 18 months, or 2 years. And that does slow down growth and keeps developers out and makes the cost of the project more. and costs making more, then you're not, you have less buyers, and so therefore you have less growth. It will work for a while to a certain situation.
It's an interesting phenomenon in East Brunswick that 25% to 1/3 of our community is in this rural preservation zone that you say they're talking about raising it from 2-acre zoning to 6-acre zoning. That's sort of emerging as a millionaire's haven or something, it seems, because all the houses that are currently being built out there, Charlotte, look like $500,000 or more to me. That is happening. What is the impact on residential real estate values generally by having an area community develop with homes that size? Is there
I think one thing to note is that the buyers of those 500,000 plus homes, certainly over 1 million, are step-up East Brunswick buyers. And I think that indicates the health of a community. To have people that at that price range could certainly buy in a Princeton or a Short Hills, just to name affluent communities, they are reinvesting in this town. And I think that it is a tribute to how they perceive the health of this community and have reinvested in it to a very marketable extent.
So there's good news in that.
So it is good news.
In the long run, Jay, does having an area of town with $1 million houses in it somehow make the rest of the town more desirable and push real estate values a little bit more than they might be pushed generally?
I think it does. I think I live on the South River side of 18, and the little Cape Cods that used to go 35 years ago when they were built 40 years ago used to go for $9,900 with $100 down, and I own a couple of them. Right now they're going for $170,000. You know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that is probably the most reasonable houses in the whole town, and that's because a blue-collar person working, and if they got a real good job, a foreman or something like that, and both of them together, they want their kids to get that education with the upper middle class if they possibly can. And so they look for that type of stuff. And all top towns that have a good reputation like that, you'll find that even the cheapest houses in town go up in value because people want the same services. We got one of the best libraries, and we have a museum. We have other things that other towns don't have, and that comes from being upper middle class. I said that was going to happen. I've been here through the whole growth because we were getting the young marrieds when this town, when you talked about the first growth there in the late 60s and early 70s. I was a young lawyer at that time, a long time ago.
You're still a young lawyer.
All right. And these people, like most people when they're buying a house, they couldn't furnish their houses. And now they furnish their houses, and they've educated half their children, and now there's money in the town. But for a long time we had great earning power, but everybody was house poor for a while. You can see that in Manalapan and Marlborough to some degree now, where houses don't have living rooms, but all our houses primarily have living rooms filled with furniture.
That's good. Jay, you had mentioned Tower Center, and made note of the fact that it's a bit controversial, some for, some again. You were for. And I'd like to use that as a stepping stone over to talking about commercial real estate in East Brunswick, more specifically. But start out with, what has Tower Center done to commercial real estate values and even perhaps residential real estate values? Has there been any effect, positive and or negative? One, I suppose if you're against it, you could say, oh, that big thing at the center of town, that will have a negative impact on real estate values or whatever, or that it will have a positive, high-paid executives looking for a place to live. I don't know. What do you feel the impact has been?
First of all, one of the things that people talk against the tower is traffic. And I feel that traffic is not East Brunswick's problem on 18, that you have apartment houses going up in Old Bridge, you have developments going down in Colts Neck, Marlborough. I mean, anybody to get to the turnpike has to come up 18. And that I think that we should have our share of the ratables. The highway runs through our town, and most of the traffic is coming from the outside. I think that it's high visibility, and I think it has brings people with the executives with big pay, and there's been a lot of houses and closings of people looking in the immediate area.
Have you seen any impact or any relationship in the residential sector?
I don't see a negative at all. I think that Route 18 is a major thoroughfare, attracts businesses who want that high visibility. I think that in keeping with that, the tower is a positive, not a negative. And it has brought regionally people that are looking for the education that East Brunswick has to offer. And we have lots of pluses here.
That's good to hear. Sunbelt of the East may be the nature of the reason. Route 18 may be the Gold Coast, I hear. Following real estate sales there, there have been 3 or 4, perhaps more, properties on the highway that have sold for, quote, $1 million an acre, and everybody's going ooh and ah. Is real estate, is the land on Route 18 really worth $1 million an acre, Jay, or are these 3 or 4 sales in the last year or so anomalies, site-specific? Is there something strange going on with a few properties, or is the real estate value really out there at that level?
I think by and large it's out there. I think that some of the prices were a little high, my point of view, but it depends on the use. If you're going to have a new car dealership, then you can afford to pay that type of price, and you need the exposure. There is only so many exits on the turnpike, and the next one you have to go is 10. There's not too much land around that to be developed. As you get closer to the city, there's no place to develop. It's being rebuilt. I see all the shopping centers are doing well. They're certainly worth it per acre. I don't know for a small office building. I would say no. That's another question. I think that they're overbuilt for the whole area. I also feel that what's happened on Route 9, going all the way from Toms River to South Amboy, is all one shopping center, and that's taken some of the gravy off of 18. So we have to decide where that's going, and if 18 ever develops past East Brunswick. It has never developed commercially. But at the present time, I have to say that in the monopoly it has, and in the drawing card it has, looking at the Christmas shopping, it's definitely worth top dollars. I've always said 18 East Brunswick was 10 years behind Paramus. I said that 25 years ago, and I say it again today. And Trump is now trying to put up a big project on, and I would imagine 10 years from now he's going to be on 18.
He'll be on 18 East Brunswick. One of the things, Charlotte, I know you've been involved in some projects on Route 18 through your business. One of the things I'm hearing, especially from the citizen boards and governmental bodies, the land's costing $1 million. In order to pay for the land and pay for the building, you have to build on it at those costs. The developers really have got to put up the biggest thing they can, and they're saying too much development, it's too intense, too much density out there. And they feel that somehow if they keep densities down, or if they say instead of a 14,000 square foot building, you build a 10,000 square foot building, that by that action they're going to lower the real estate values on Route 18 so that the density of development isn't so high. Do you think that'll work? There's any merit to that, or?
Well, they may know something I don't know. I think that obviously the marketplace dictates what something will buy and sell for, and eventually what the end user will have to pay. And Route 18 is second to Paramus, so therefore retailers are apt to pay more per square foot, whether they're discounting their product or not. That has nothing to do with the value to the retailer. And the only thing that makes it more difficult is that when you restrict a developer from maximizing that property, it does translate to the end user, and then to the buyer eventually. I think that you have to take into consideration what a builder or an end user can pay for it, and work it backwards from there. I don't know.
There isn't, Jay said it looks like Route 18 is healthy, commercial sector is healthy on Route 18. There's not much vacant space on Route 18. And my observation would be, I agree with you, there's not much vacant space out there. But it seems to me that the space that is vacant is the space that maybe has become available lately. And maybe the prices out there have gotten, there are a couple of buildings on Route 18 where the people want $28 a square foot or something, and they're just sitting there. They're not going anywhere. I was just wondering whether the market has peaked out on Route 18 for the time now, and that the higher end of the prices per square foot for rental isn't going to move quite as fast. Is there any merit to that?
Well, I think that there are some people asking for prices that retailers can't make a go of it at that price, or it's got to be a special retailer, a national, or somebody that needs that visibility. So there has been a little softening, but when they're renting on long-term leases. So the owners of the property would rather hold on for a little while, in my opinion, see if they can get top dollar, you know, for the situation. But if they want to rent, there's plenty of renters. They're just the ones you're talking about that are vacant. They're looking for the 28. If they want to come to 20, no problem.
No problem.
22, no problem. And that's still, in my mind, tremendous value if
It's
you.
great value. Office space still, is that the same?
I had 4 buildings on the highway. I'll take that question, John, because I think I'm not. I had 4 small office buildings on the highway, and I sold them all out last year. When I saw that on the cash I could do better, even in CDs, than I could at the prices people would pay me for these buildings, I figured it was time to get out. Of course, I've been in the game for a long time on the highway, and I had some other places to place the money. I think that it's peaked out. I think eventually it will get used up, but what's happening on Route 1, all the see-through buildings you got at 287, and that some of them have been several years up and never occupied, is definitely overhang. And every article we read shows that our figures are in the high 20s on vacancies on thing. And in better locations than 18 for office buildings. Maybe not the tower building, but other office buildings in 18. I mean, at Metro Park, you have some buildings up there.
So we're saturated for the time being.
Right.
Fill up over time. There's some bargains out there too, as a result.
Yes, the bargains, if you're big enough, there's a lot of throw-ins, and if you want to sign a long enough lease and you're a tenant. That's a specialty business, though, because the big guys are whining and dining the corporation users that could use 20,000 square feet and up.
Well, unfortunately, we're winding to the end of our time in today's discussion, updating ourselves on the real estate market in the East Brunswick area. I'd like to give you each a couple of 20 seconds or so. What's the future hold? Big prognostication, 1989. Good year for real estate or bad year for real estate for the investor?
I think it's a good year. I think there are opportunities there, and now's the time to learn about them and be ready to buy when they become available. I'm looking forward to 1989.
Jay?
I think there's too many variables, and unless I get a real good buy, I'm still buying, but I'm watching very carefully. I don't know about interest rates. I don't know about inflation rates. I don't know what the new administration is going to do. I don't know. Just too many psychological overhangs on the market.
You need to see a little more development of the things that affect real estate before you're going to be able to tell.
Right.
Well, thank you, Charlotte Cohen from Renaissance Realty for being with us, and Jay Okun from Investors and Lenders. This is John Runyon with Business Bylines. We've been discussing real estate today. I'm glad to have been with you. Have a good day.